Welcome back to episode 2 of the Nebulum podcast. I'm Zale.
I'm Grant.
And for those just joining us, as a reminder, should we keep that in?
As a reminder,
this podcast is about the pursuit of fulfillment. And we hope to inspire that and to kind of explore topics around this, such as creativity, freedom. We'll range from philosophical to practical and tactical. We'll have guests, but today we're just going to have some discussion. So let's jump right into it. What's our topic today?
Our topic today is a question I wanted to ask you. I've been thinking about myself, and it's how do we live? How do we create the lives of our dreams? And what I mean by that is basically like, how do we own our time and feel like we're doing what we want to do in this life and not feeling like we're wasting our time? I guess an example would be, if I'm working for a company I don't really believe in, but I need the money. And so I'm spending all this time not really doing what I want to do. So how do we create a life in which not always, but how do we create a life in which we spend a lot of our time doing what we want to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure many people have this struggle. I do.
I do too.
You do. And to be honest, I think I've come a long way in, feeling like I'm spending time doing what I want to do and feeling more fulfilled. But honestly, I think the first place to start is clarity. You kind of need clarity on what would make you, what do you want to spend your time doing, right? Because, how are you going to know what to spend your time doing, and how are you going to know how to spend the time doing what you want to do if you don't really know what you want to do? Because I think it's important because a lot of people do not have actually much clarity in terms of the path that would feel most aligned with their inner being, or however you want to put it. So the first thing is clarity. Probably I'll run through some ideas and maybe we can dive into how to form clarity and stuff like that. So clarity, and then clarity on not just the destination, but also the path. And I just want to say, one shouldn't get tripped up on trying to figure out what the exact path is. As long as you find a path that just feels, this generally feels all right, then you can always start moving in a direction and change direction, But I think feeling like, this path is all right, I'll start walking and kind of feel it out. How does it feel? I change there, I change here. So, not overthinking that either. But having more clarity on that path, on that direction, on how you want to start moving. And then there's also a lot of internal work and clarity around what types of activities make you feel fulfilled, as well as how you connect to those activities. So in how you connect to it, there's probably parts of your work in which which do provide you fulfillment. Right? Or some ingredients of fulfillment, let's say. And I think that being able to connect more to those and identify those will, even if where you are isn't where you ultimately want to be, at least it won't suck your energy, because you'll be able to focus on the parts that do give you energy, right? And, we can dive into this more, like different models of figuring out what are the different parts of my current work that do provide me with some level of fulfillment that will carry me on to the next stage in where I can transition to another path. So there's that. And then, it's kind of just a plan. And I feel like you make the plan, you might have to get creative with it depending on your particular circumstance. Might have to get creative with figuring out a way to transition to something, that feels more aligned with you. And I think doing all those clarity exercises from before that I mentioned will help you figure out a more creative solution. I'll pause there, but I think those are some initial ideas that came up.
Yeah. So you kind of talked about exploring, giving yourself clarity, and also recognizing parts of your life which are partially fulfilling for you already. And so having that gratefulness or that recognition of can get you started essentially to transition to like adding more elements of fulfillment. I wanted to add actually my perspective on this as well, because I recently took a trip, spent some time alone, and basically give myself, clarity in a way. And I think what helped me find that clarity is, spending that time alone, taking a lot of pressure off of yourself and just seeing what you do. At first you might like just do some enjoyable activities, let off the pressure, and then eventually you start having some more energy, because a lot of times when we're doing 8-hour days, we kind of are drained, and we don't have the energy to really find what lights us up, what kind of actions light us up. So yeah, for me, it's at least right now about exploring, like, what do I do without pressure on me? What would I really do? And then doing that, and it's not like that has to be the final destination, or like I want to be this and I want to do this forever, but as long as you're moving in a direction, I think that can feel really like awesome to feel like you're getting closer. I mean, the path isn't straight, so even failing is getting closer.
Yeah.
Because you're at least getting some clarity on the map of the territory. But yeah, that's where I wanted to come up from that.
Yeah, so that's great, right? Because that's a very good technique for achieving that clarity. I feel like there are probably many different techniques to gain clarity that, it would be useful for people to know and people to think about, okay, how can I gain clarity for myself? Because for you, you just took some time alone. I'm sure you had the intention of thinking about things, right? And just taking some space away from the hustle and bustle of the everyday grind. Taking that space can definitely help you achieve, at least more insight into who you are as a person. As long as you have that intention. It's easy to, go get away and just like watch YouTube and like watch Netflix and all of that stuff. So I think the intention is important too.
Oh yeah. I definitely set some intentions. It's not like I had the utmost clarity and like I wasn't rigid about it. I'm not like I need to achieve this and this only.
Yeah.
It was more like I have these ideas, these like North Stars maybe to kind of like direct my compass, but I trust myself enough to like not be super rigid and like try to control everything, but just like see how it flowed. And I was able to like practice a few things, find a few routines that really like felt natural to me. And I feel like when I took all that structure away and just kind of like trusted myself to, follow, okay, what feels good doing this part of the day? Okay, in the morning I have more focus, so I'm going to do this. And then later in the day I have, more energy, so I might like need to do some physical exercise. So that helped me get clarity on like the rhythms of my body and, what feels fulfilling to me if if no one's telling me what to do.
Yeah.
So that technique for clarity really worked for me. And different techniques are going to work for different people, I would say, for finding that clarity.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything else about this clarity piece?
Yeah, I feel like that listening to the rhythms of your body is very important. It's kind of what we talked about before with listening for the path that resonates with you in previous episode. it's a similar thing, like learning to just kind of figure out what your natural tendencies are will help you gain huge clarity into who you are as a person, which you might already know, but it's always good to remind yourself that oh yeah, I'm like this. I naturally do this.
Yeah.
Because when we're in the grind all the time, or when we're like trying to survive and stuff, we might not have the space to just settle into our natural rhythm sometimes. So it's good to kind of listen to, okay, where do I feel resistance? Where do I feel resonance? Where, that will help you gain some clarity into the types of things you want to do, or at least elements of what you want to do. Maybe you realize, yeah, I want to do something where I can exercise all the time. Or I want to do something where I can be outside more. Just these like little elements can help you kind of start to paint the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the main thing there that I totally resonate with is like, it's more about listening than trying to impose what you think you are. It's more about listening, and kind of when you listen, you can have a better understanding of yourself. And that's what clarity is a lot about, is just having an understanding of what works for you and like what would feel good for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, once we start getting clarity, I mean, you're not going to have 100% clarity. There's no such thing.
Sure.
But like once you start getting clarity, like where can we move next from your perspective?
So I think there's many things to get clarity on, right? There's clarity on, okay, what types of things do I resonate with? And then there's also clarity on maybe what do I resonate with in my current job or current life or current like path. Because if your current path is sucking you dry, it's going to be hard to muster up the energy to then figure out how am I going to, transition, or how am I going to lead a fulfilled life. Because, I mean, you're drained. You just want to escape, probably. I feel like many people are in this situation. So I think vitality is important. And focusing, so before you can, I think before you can start spending your time in different things, maybe you're not easily able to shift how you spend your time at the moment. You can more easily shift how you spend your focus, right? So let's say you're working a desk job or something, and you just feel like you're button pushing, and you hate your boss, and like all these things. It's just like kind of annoying, and it just sucks you dry. You come home, you just want to like eat chips and watch movies until the next day, and you do it all again. It's going to be helpful to, okay, where can I draw energy from in what I'm already doing, where I'm already spending my time? Where can I focus more on to say, actually that part isn't so bad. And then that mental shift can actually give you a bit more vitality just by shifting your focus and changing the story and the narrative around what you're doing. Because I feel like the story and the narrative is a huge part of our emotional state. So okay. So now I want to kind of go into like the flow triggers type thing that I was talking about to you before we started. So I did this course with the Flow Research Collective, and it was all about how to achieve flow and that sort of stuff. But the ultimate goal of achieving flow is fulfillment in life, right? So it had this concept of various aspects which induce a feeling of flow, which is a feeling of massive connection to what you're doing, right? And I feel like that kind of connection can really impact your energy level and the vitality you get, and just the fulfillment you get out of the maybe mundane activities you do. So I don't know if I want to list them all. I have them up here. Okay, let's talk about like autonomy, right? Autonomy is one. Do you feel like you have autonomy in what you do? Probably if you have no autonomy, or if you feel like you have no autonomy, that's kind of a drain of your energy. Whereas if you feel like you're more in control of what you're doing, you can have a little more energy because you have a little more say over your life. You feel less trapped, right? So then it's like, okay, can I either increase the amount of autonomy I have, or can I look for the places where I do have autonomy and focus on that? Like if you're button pushing, do you have a say in the buttons you press? Maybe a silly example, but do you have a say in, if you're, writing articles or something, do you have a say in the writing style? Let's say you're an editor or whatever. Do you have a say in that? Can you have some creative expression with how you write, or how you manage files in a folder, or how you I don't know, anything at all, right?
Okay.
Kind of just focusing on where you have the autonomy, I feel like can start to make you feel a little more in control.
So that can make you feel more connected to that activity.
Yeah.
So you're saying like, first, you don't even have to change anything except what you focus on. So you first kind of widen your awareness. Okay, what am I doing here, and where is the autonomy? Versus like our day-to-day perceptions can get kind of, running through the same neurological pathway over and over. We take things for granted. So you're saying, okay, widen it first. Figure out where do I have the autonomy, and focus on that. And if I focus on that, then that can help me feel more connected without having to change anything external. All I changed was what I focused on to find that autonomy, to like help connect me to what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. Other things, like in addition to autonomy, there's curiosity, right? Are you engaging in curiosity a lot in your life? Like, are you learning more things in what you're doing? Do you have opportunity to do so? There's complete concentration. Are you engaging in an activity where you're focused on one thing, or is your brain kind of scattered, which is a high cognitive load, right? But finding opportunities to concentrate more on one single activity, hard in this day and age sometimes, but that's another thing which is considered a flow trigger, and is considered something that can help you connect more deeply with the things you're doing, right? Risk and novelty, right? These are things that kind of connect to some human needs that many people have. Many people have this need for novelty or variety in the thing they do. The same thing over and over can get boring. If you can find opportunities for novelty, or if you can notice more things in what you're doing that maybe, this does change on a day-to-day. The people that come through the office change on a day-to-day. Maybe there's opportunities to, learn more about that person or something like that. Or whatever it may be. If you're a driver, maybe you can take a new route this time. Like, something like that. Complexity as well is another thing that can connect you with the thing you're doing. If it's too simple, you might disengage because it doesn't activate, those neurons that we have that necessitate learning or something like that. So, finding an opportunity to do something maybe a little more complex. If you're working in Excel, maybe you can learn how to write some formulas to make the thing more easy. That's a little more complex, and it also makes the job a little easier to do. So you can maybe focus on other things, and maybe that can give you your novelty. So you might get creative with how you shift your focus and how you can find opportunities to increase these things. I actually do want to read this list just so people can have it and look into it, and maybe write these things down and see if there are opportunities for you to focus more on where you can find these things in what you're doing, as well as focus on creating opportunities for these things. So I'm just going to read them. There are, I believe, 12. So The first is curiosity slash passion slash purpose. The next is autonomy. The next is complete concentration, risk, novelty, complexity, unpredictability, deep embodiment, immediate feedback, clear goals, challenges. So the challenge to skill ratio, we can probably talk about that. That's interesting. As well as creativity slash pattern recognition. If there's any particular one you want to dig more into, feel free, but I'll just leave you with that list. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Those are a lot of these I haven't heard before. I hadn't heard of the flow triggers before, but when I think about it, it makes sense. Like a lot of them, when I imagine into like autonomy, for example, if I imagine how I feel when I have more autonomy, I do feel more connected because I have that freedom. I don't feel so trapped, and then I feel like I can engage my creativity, engage more of my skills, so engage more of myself in doing that, even in the work I do right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I would encourage myself and others to reflect on, what resonates with you more. I think challenge skill ratio makes complete sense to me as well, because if something's overwhelming, then you won't want to do it. And if it's too easy, then you also won't want to do it. If it's that in that growth range that gets you to grow a little bit and it's not too scarring, too hard, I feel like that can be really good. So yeah, so you're kind of talking about focusing on where these things already exist and then trying to maybe zone in on those, focus on those, and maybe even cultivate them more. How do these relate to, let's say, someone's doing button pressing and, of course they can focus on all these things, but eventually they want to transition to do something different that they might enjoy more.
Yeah.
How do we use these also when we want to like transition into something, when we're trying to explore and get clarity? How can we use these to do that, I guess?
So do you mean in trying to get clarity, or in trying to actually transition out of the thing you're doing and spend more time on something else?
I guess I mean to get clarity on what gives you these things.
Okay.
Other than the button pressing or whatever. What might give you more of these things and give you more fulfillment.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So figuring out where you're already getting these things, I believe helps in understanding, firstly, which of these things, like where they are in your hierarchy of needs, let's say. Yeah. Some people value autonomy way more than they value complexity, let's say. Or some people value, immediate feedback way more than they value necessarily clear goals or something. So it's important so when you start focusing on these things more, you start to understand, okay, how do I connect to these things? How does it feel for me, these different things? How do I rank these different things? That's an important kind of thought activity to go through as well. By the way, a side note, I want to say, like, it's important to spend time thinking about these kinds of things. A lot of people say, I don't have time to think about that because, I have to work. We want to encourage people to we want to inspire people to pursue fulfillment. I'm assuming you want to pursue fulfillment. Maybe another time we can get into why you probably should pursue fulfillment. But if you do want to, I think this is actually, thinking about these things is a high leverage activity. Like, this is one of the things that's going to actually help you move the needle more. Because clarity is very underrated.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, including ourselves, we value doing so much in our culture. It's like, you got to do something. And clarity doesn't really feel like doing something because you're not creating anything tangible. But I feel like clarity is actually the foundation for fulfillment and like everything you do. So it's like, if you don't have that foundation, you can't build this tall building.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, clarity seems like you're not doing anything, but you're creating the framework that everything else fits in when you understand your clarity. So clarity is the most fundamental piece that we need to get clear on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, once you understand where you're getting these things in your life already, then you can say, okay, how can I, get more of these things? This is going to be a very personal thing in terms of how your life is currently structured, as well as how you're already spending your time. What are your sources of burnout that you need to eliminate? We should probably talk about that too, because
Yeah.
we need to create more energy for you in order to because for a while probably you might have to double up. You might have to do something outside of work that you can start transitioning more of your time to eventually, but maybe at first you might have to double up. But if you don't have any energy, if you're burnt out all the time, it's going to be very hard to double up. So we should get into that. But then, there's going to be a period of trying different things, seeing where you can get more autonomy, let's say, whether it's in what you're already doing or in a new activity where you think you want to go. Probably you have an idea of things you like, right? And so maybe after work, I can try, drawing sometimes, if that's the path you want. Or I can try streaming if you want to be the next Kai Cenat or something.
I'm sure a lot of kids do.
I'm sure. Things like that. So there's going to be a period of exploration.
Yeah, there's going to be a period of exploration once we have at least a beginning foundation of clarity. We don't want to get perfectionistic about it or anything. Clarity happens by exploring as well. So, yeah, we want to explore what gives us more of these flow triggers, what helps us, what do we feel connected to? So, yeah, if you give the example of drawing, maybe you try drawing, why don't you try podcasting, try a bunch of different things, see what resonates with you, what gives you energy. I think energy, this concept of energy is a big one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we explore, that's a huge one. And yeah, so this transition period, take me through what that might look like, because I think we're all kind of implementing that in our one way or other. You can't just, well, in most cases, you're not just gonna just quit and you might, let's say, but a lot of times it's gonna be a transition from spending your time, a lot of time doing one thing and then transitioning once you kind of have more clarity to spending your time doing something that you might feel more connected to. So I guess you can walk me through the exploration process and then that transition process as well. So we want to have, so we have clarity, so we want to explore what do we feel connected to, and then, okay, let's say we have an idea of what makes us feel connected. How do we transition to spend more time doing that than the button pushing, let's say?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, depends on your situation. If you have the privilege to just quit your job and just go backpacking throughout Europe and to think about your life and then come back and start something new, probably just do that. Probably most people don't have that reality in which they can do that. Or some people are very risk tolerant and will just say screw it, I'm gonna quit, I'm gonna figure it out and, try. And I'll struggle for a long time until I figure it out. If you have that in you, do that.
I do want to say something about that though.
Yeah.
There are harder ways and easier ways to do things. And I think I'm more an advocate of not doing these grand things. I think when you do that, you can end up going on a path that might actually not get you anywhere. I think the gentle path makes more sense to me, where you're not doing anything abrupt. You're doing stuff that's sustainable. So you start smaller and then you slowly build. So yeah, I just want to say I'm more of an advocate for the gentle approach, going with what's already happening, not trying to forcefully rip yourself from your current routine and just go somewhere. I think it's more productive to go with your current situation and transmute it, if you will.
I think many people agree with you, and I think many people would not want to risk a lot in abrupt changes. I just want to acknowledge that there are people who are wired that way.
And that might be a path for those people.
Yeah, that's a path for those people, and it works out for those people. I've definitely seen it not work out too. So, I mean, that's the nature of risk, right? But yeah, so it's probably more productive for us to get into the slower path, the gentler path, the less risky path, the path that doesn't, make your family starve for months if you're responsible for people.
Yeah.
In earning money in what you do.
It's the integrative path. It's like you're integrating what you are now with that you imagine or that you want to create.
Yeah.
You may not know what it is, but you can move towards that in a way that like bridges the gap. Rather than trying to jump across the chasm, you're slowly building a bridge. So I feel like we should talk about the transition period.
Yeah. So building that bridge, basically. I mean, it's gonna require exploration. If you don't already know exactly what it is you want to do, maybe you do. But if you don't, then it's gonna require some exploration. It's an iterative process. You gain some clarity, you try some things, you go back, think about more things, and you try some different things. Excuse me. It's probably gonna require you to also explore different relationships with different people who are on different points on that journey as well. If you have an interest in a particular field, maybe see if there's a community of people who are doing that and tap into that community, ask questions, get coffee with somebody if you can do that or something. Or even just like, we have the internet. The cool thing about the internet these days is you can like have a window into other people's lives who you don't know at all. So if you have access to the internet, you can, watch what people have to say about the path that you're considering exploring. Watch videos about that. Read about it. These kinds of things. Kind of explore what it's like to do that thing, just to gain more clarity about the thing itself. Because in exploration, you'll need more clarity from like different angles about the thing itself, from both trying it and hearing about other people's experience.
I think a huge thing is trying it and getting other people's experience, because without trying it or without trying to get info on that, you can kind of idolize and say like, oh, I really want to do drawing. But like when you're doing drawing, you might not enjoy it. So you might think you really like drawing, but once you try it, you're like, wait, actually, no. So that's another reason why I feel like the slower path makes sense, because you have more space to try different things and like see if you actually like it. Because it takes time to really understand like whether it feels like the right thing for you. Whether you really enjoy the process or you just enjoy the thought of being good at that thing. Like, oh, I want to be like the best artist, so I'm just going to try drawing. But if you don't actually like drawing, regardless of that, whatever you want to be, you're going to end up in the same place that you were, like, which is doing something that you might not enjoy as much.
Right. If you don't have that clarity, you're probably going to end up on the wrong path again. Maybe not wrong, because again, don't overthink the path. I don't want people to say, oh no, okay, now I need to really choose the right path, because if I don't have the clarity, no, it's fine. Like, as long as you just keep listening and change direction as necessary, you'll be okay. Right? I think so.
Yeah. Then that gets into, okay, let's say I do, there's never going to be absolute like, oh, I want to do just this and only this, and this path is final. It's more about an exploration. But like, let's say I'm listening and my compass, my inner compass is moving me in this direction of drawing or writing. How do we get into like transitioning from my 9 to 5 to doing more of this drawing or writing until, that becomes what I do each day? I think I would love to hear, how do we, make that bridge and start transitioning?
Yeah. So now this comes down to the tactical. Okay, how do I make time for this? Right. Different people have different situations. Right. You may have a 9 to 5. You may be working 12-hour shifts. Right. You may also have a family. Right. This is going to come down to your specific situation and then time management tactics. We should probably have a whole episode on time management.
Yeah.
So some things right off the bat, right? If you already have clarity, then it's going to be like, okay, how now do I allocate my time? And it's also going to be energy management, because sometimes you have time, but you're exhausted or you don't have the motivation or something like that. And that's a question of energy and vitality, which we've talked about. So in terms of the energy and vitality piece, that's going to be the same flow triggers we talked about, where you put your focus, the story and the narrative you tell yourself about the things you're already doing, right? If it's mentally draining to you and you hate it and that's what your mind is ruminating on, draining. You're going to burn out,
Yeah.
right? If you found a way to figure out, yeah, this isn't necessarily where I want to end up finally, but hey, I'm getting this skill and I'm getting this, I have this autonomy and this and that, right? That's a more fueling thing, especially if you have a path you already want to go on and you can now connect these feelings to that path. Yeah.
Yeah, this actually brings me to the topic of, well, not to the topic, but the idea of like the Taoist way in which you're not going against the current, you're not swimming against the current, but you're going with it. So you focus on getting energy from things you're already doing and focusing on, okay, like what skills am I learning from this that I can use to transition to this other thing?
Yeah.
Energy management is a huge piece, I feel like, because, I've noticed certain times, like, okay, I have a lot more energy in the morning to be able to do creative tasks that I want to do. So maybe, I just went on a trip, like I might have mentioned earlier, and that got me in touch with my natural rhythms, my natural routines. And so that was really helpful to get clarity on that, because I can try to bring that into my normal work day.
Yeah.
And so before I start work, maybe I work on these creative things that I want to do.
Yeah.
And that's when I have the most energy. And so it's like recognizing, when do I have energy? When do I don't? When do I not? Like around noontime, I get kind of like, I need to move. And so like I went on a bike ride, let's say. And so finding ways that I can fit that in, because your physical vitality and your recovery and your sleep are also going to be super important in like this whole energy thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we can definitely touch on that as well. Yeah, thoughts? I wanted to ask something, but I lost my train of thought there.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think this is a really crucial point. I'm glad to take this tangent because people, I think, okay, there's two things, right? There's the fundamental, your body. Are you sleeping? Are you eating? Are you exercising? Right? Your sleep, your diet, your exercise is going to have huge impacts on your vitality and your energy, right? So as much as you possibly can, like optimize those things or correct those things if you're lacking.
Yeah, and those things, when you realize how much those will contribute to your fulfillment, then those things become meaningful.
Yeah.
And then you're more fulfilled when actually making that really healthy meal.
Absolutely.
And you have so much more reason to. Another thing that I hear you touch on, which I found really interesting, is the concept of rest and rest as part of the work.
Yeah.
Please explain that.
Yeah. I love saying rest is part of the work because a lot of people, I mean, some people love rest and are fine taking breaks and resting and all of that. Perfect, great, do it. Don't eat too much, but yeah, I'm kidding, do it. But some people, whether it's they feel like they need to work to survive or they're just on a grind or, okay, now I need to do my side hustle and these things, they might feel like rest is a waste of time. But I love saying rest is part of the work because it is, right? we should avoid burnout at all costs. And if you're if you keep going and going and going, and especially you're not figuring out what's draining you, what's fueling you, and those kinds of things, and you're not resting, you're going to burn out. And that will compound. And you'll lose way more time in the long run than if you took periodic breaks and you took the time to actively recover. Recovery is what's part of the work. And so, in order to sustainably perform, like, in order to achieve sustainable high performance, you're going to have to include recovery into your regular routine. Yeah. I also want to touch on what is active recovery versus passive recovery. Because this is a concept which was new to me a couple years ago, which I think is very important. For some people, recovery is like sitting in the couch scrolling on Instagram, but that's not real recovery, or it's ineffective recovery. Because part of recovery, especially when we start talking about burnout, is reducing cognitive load. And so when we keep stimulating the mind and our dopamine pathway system, we're in a high cognitive load, right? Scrolling on Instagram, high cognitive load. Even watching TV, high cognitive load. It doesn't actually like de-wire you, which is what you need to recover mentally from the things you do, the things that drain you, the things that require a lot of mental capacity and mental energy and motivation and willpower, right? It's the cognitive load. If we're always wired with stimulus like that, then it doesn't help us recover as well as if you did something like yoga or if you did exercise. And it's funny to say exercise is recovery because it's kind of opposite of what people might think. You might say you need recovery from exercise. But when we're talking about burnout, we're kind of talking about this willpower recovery. And exercise actually fuels that. Exercise gives you energy for that. I mean, while you're exercising, you're using energy, but after that, when your body has gotten its endorphins and all of those things, and our body is, our metabolism has increased and these kinds of things, we actually regain energy and can sustain for longer periods of time. So things like sleep, the biggest one, getting a massage, yoga, exercise, sauna, cold plunge, these kinds of things, or just meditation, breath work, these kinds of things. That's what we consider active recovery. So we're taking a walk, right? It doesn't need to be anything complex like a cold plunge, like intense like that. These are active recovery, and we should work these into our regular schedule because it will help us sustain for longer and vitalize us to then manage our energy to do other things.
Yeah, that's a huge point to touch on, because even if we are super clear on the thing we want to do and we love doing, if we're doing that to the point of obsession and not taking any breaks, we can even burn out from something we love doing.
Absolutely.
And it can turn into something we don't like doing anymore.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, taking those breaks is, for in-breath, you need an out-breath. So it's kind of like having that balance.
Yeah.
So maintaining that balance is important. Okay. Yeah. I guess we're on the topic of transitioning. So we talked about time management, energy management. We can totally do a separate episode on those because of how important they are. Mm-hmm. But moving along this path of transitioning to do the thing we want more, how do we move along that path? I have some things that I might want to say, but I want to hear what you have to say.
I kind of want to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
I think the energy management and time, we didn't talk that much about time management specifically, but the energy management is huge. So yeah, what do you have to say about it?
Yeah, man, I think I think I'm going through it and you are too. I think a lot of the things we talked about are going to be important, like changing your focus and Exploring what you like to do, finding that energy and time management. I think once I have that rhythm, if I speak personally, once I kind of have that rhythm, like my plan is to, okay, start finding those, optimizing that energy and seeing where I can put it into what I truly want to do, and then keep doing that. And I mean, I don't have a definite plan, honestly. More what I have is a compass and a direction that I want to move in. And I guess I have faith that if I keep moving in that direction, that eventually it's going to happen on its own. There's nothing I need to like force or do, but it's more like if I continue to move in this direction and optimize, take care of the energy, take care of the times, habit forming, discipline, that I'll be able to make it happen. And I can't figure out the exact plan right now.
Yeah.
But it's more like I feel like if I move in this direction, I have faith that things will unfold in a way that allows it to happen. Yeah, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, several things. Firstly, it's a good example because to drive in the point, you don't have to have a whole plan mapped out to just start moving. A vague compass is good enough to start on the path, right? You know, if you're driving at night and you have your headlights on, you can't see, you know, very far in front. You may only be able to see right in front of you, but you can make the whole journey that way, right? Because you know the direction you're going in and you can see your immediate steps. And you can always change direction if you realize, oh, I'm kind of off path. So that's one point. And you did mention habits and discipline. So I think that's the next step, right? Let's say you can manage your energy, you can manage your time. Well, it kind of feeds in, it kind of is intertwined, managing your time and the discipline and the habits. The habit forming techniques are the tactical things you're going to need next in order to actually dedicate your energy. You have the energy surplus now to dedicate it to this thing. You're going to need motivation and you're going to need the habits, because willpower is said to be a depletable resource. I'm not certain how I feel about that yet, but that seems to be the general consensus out there in the self-help world or whatever.
What I want to say about that is I think people talk about willpower as like this thing, but I think your definition of willpower and those people's definition might be different.
Perhaps.
So I think their willpower is doing something that you don't want to do that's draining you. But if you're doing something that you find hard, but it's meaningful and it's giving you energy, I don't consider that being willpower. I think willpower is actively opposing resistance.
Yeah.
So like doing this stupid application.
Yeah.
That's willpower.
Yeah.
You can't be doing that forever.
Yeah.
But you can do it for this small amount of time and then you'll need to recharge. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. And I think probably a good goal is to figure out how you can need to use less willpower. And that's where habits come in.
Yes.
Because if you can make something just automatic,
Yes.
then you don't need to spend so much energy trying to get yourself to do it. You automatically do it anyway, right? So, what's the good book on habits?
Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits. Great book to read. Read that book. I think it breaks down really well how to identify, the cue and I forget the exact framework, but the desire, the cue, the response, and all those things.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to summarize it, I would say create an environment where you're likely to do something and then just do it, I don't know, and repeat it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to start by doing 3 hours of exercise in the gym. You start by like 20 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, an hour a week.
Yeah.
Like, start small and slowly build.
Yeah.
Like, it's more about consistency and like repeatability.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, achieving this thing isn't going to be easy, but if you break it down into, I need to move in this direction, and you create a habit where you're consistently moving in that direction, then you're moving in the direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it will compound. The more you build a small habit on top of a small habit on top of a small habit, it will eventually compound and grow. If you just stay, consistency, as you said, is a huge key. And in terms of habit forming, it's easier if you tack it onto an existing habit, right? So let's say I'm trying to create a habit of working out, and I already know that as soon as I wake up, I brush my teeth, and that's just already an automatic habit. Maybe now onto that brushing the teeth, I can tack on a 1 minute workout, 1 minute of like push-ups and squats or something, just to get the habit in. When that habit is formed, then you can probably build the time you spend exercising because you already have the habit of starting, which is usually the hardest part.
Yes.
Starting. Yeah. So I like that technique of creating the habit of just starting. Start with the smallest possible thing. If 20 minutes is too hard, do 10. If 10 minutes is too hard, do 5. If 5 minutes is too hard, do 2. If 2 minutes is too hard, do 1. If 1 minute is too hard, do a second. If a second is too hard, talk to somebody. Yeah, build a habit of starting and then tack on more, I think is a good technique.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. There was something you mentioned earlier that I wanted to touch on. I forget in the moment.
It'll come back to you, I think, as we continue. So yeah, I guess, through this transition period, we're just moving in this direction. I guess we can explore, what things you might want to pay attention to, because you can't plan out your whole path. I mean, who even wants to know the whole path? I mean, who wants to spoil the movie, right? Like, I mean, that's the part of the path that's exciting, is the journey of it and the excitement of it, and not knowing who you're going to meet and, what you're going to come across.
Yeah.
And
well, some people want to know. Some people value certainty a lot more. So, I don't want to discount that too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess if I'm talking about myself, I don't have a certain thing that I want to reach, but I do have that direction. So, creating these habits and managing time and energy properly, those are all going to be processes that I'm going to have to learn and work through to improve upon. Shit, man. I guess when you're moving in that direction, you're on the path. So once you're moving, what else do we want to speak to? Like, once you're moving,
I think another element which is vastly important, probably underrated, but probably not underrated, but probably underrated, is community.
Yeah, I actually had that in my mind as well.
Yeah. And however you want to define community, just if you can surround yourself with people who are doing or at least elements of the things you want to do, then it's going to be so much easier. We're social animals, right? If all of your friends, if you want to become a painter, and then all of your friends are painters, you're probably gonna also, like, let's say all of your friends are like successful painters. Chances are, man, you're gonna like learn a thing or two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you can find those people and surround yourself with those people more, tap into the local communities. There's often local communities of different interests, clubs, people, and you meet one person through a person and you just try to expand that network within the thing you do. Or if you're not around anyone online, man, like watch a streamer who's doing it, or YouTube, and just like try to absorb as much as you can from people, because the more you focus on that thing and absorb that, the more time you spend just around that, it's gonna become more and more in your life, and you're gonna find different ways. And creative solutions as well is a huge thing, because learning from other people's experiences, where you get those, oh, I didn't think of doing it that way, then I should try that. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a super interesting idea that like okay, this is an interesting thing, but we are made of water. And so what you're describing is kind of the process of osmosis.
Yeah.
The people you around flow and influence you.
Yeah.
The community piece is super important and super, honestly, fulfilling and fun. Like making connections through these activities that we do can be like, we can make the greatest connections with people and relate to people. And so that's like not only a helpful way to like move on the path, but part of what makes the path so full and beautiful.
Yeah.
I did want to say something else, but again, lost it.
We flow.
We do flow.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about energy management. First clarity. Oh, you got it? Okay.
Yeah, I think I do. Okay, so I guess what I wanted people to remember, and I want to remember myself, is that like we are, using this osmosis and connecting with people and all that. And at the end of the day, this is our path. This is our unique, beautiful path. I think that recognition also has so much beauty and power to it. Is like, no one can be me better than me. No one can be you better than you. So we both have something unique to offer. So I think that's also something that can be a really motivating and powerful thing. It's like no one offers exactly what I have to offer. And so, if your friends are all painters, people can sometimes get down on themselves, always comparing like, oh, my friends are, doing this.
Right.
But I feel like when we recognize how powerful it is to just be ourselves, we can remember that like we still add something to our group of painters. We add ourselves and they all add themselves.
Yeah.
And so that way we don't get so caught up in trying to be someone else.
Yeah.
I think, we're laying out the path in such not a smooth way, but like we are laying it out in a way that people can follow. But then, we need to do an episode, of course, on a lot of the bumps on the path. And I think that's one of the bumps on the path, but I just want to like say that, we all have something unique to bring to this. I guess this touches on like artistry and creativity and all that, but yeah, just wanted to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really important point to make. I don't have anything to add to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think we talked about a lot. Do you have anything else you wanted to
No, I think
touch on?
I think we covered this in a way that I hope people can follow and draw inspiration from in how they approach this.
Yeah. So in summary, high level, how to spend more time on what makes you fulfilled. Clarity, energy management, having more flow in the activities you're doing, focusing on those flow triggers, as well as avoiding burnout with active recovery techniques. And then time management, habit forming, and recognize your unique contribution to the path you're on.
Yeah, I think we definitely covered a lot here. You guys can let us know what questions you have. Again, we're all on this journey, so we're all staying curious, learning, connecting our flow triggers and such in a way that's gonna feel energy, motivating, help us gain energy. So yeah, let us know. And yeah, we'll go straight into the takeaway questions to help you kind of make this more real. Why don't you start it off?
Sure. Okay. So as you go about your day and your lives, a couple questions for you to ponder. One, how do you rank those flow triggers in terms of what you value. Do you value autonomy? Do you value complexity? Do you value novelty and variety? These kinds of things. So think about how you rank them, and think about where do you find those in your current activity or your current life that you can focus more on, and where are opportunities for you to maybe dial those up a bit and create more of that.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, I would want to ask people to, not even a question, but just to, I invite you to, throughout the day, check in with your body, listen to your body, and see if you can come into tune with your natural rhythms and see, and try to notice, observe what parts of the day do you feel more energized to be able to do this thing, or what parts of the day do you feel tired, you just need to rest. And just, I would just invite people to kind of just listen to themselves and tune into their natural flows and see where they can align with that. So yeah, maybe just throughout the day, just check in with yourself. How am I feeling? How does this activity make me feel? Often when we check in on how things make us feel, we recognize whether they fill our cup or drain our cup, and that can actually help us to release habits we don't like and start doing more of habits that we do like. So I would just invite people to, you know what, let's make it actionable right now. How do you feel after watching this video? Just take a second, tune in, and yeah, do you feel like you need exercise? Do you feel like you need food? Yeah, just check in with yourself. That's all.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, thank you all for listening. Again, if you're still here, you are the best.
You're the GOAT.
The GOAT. I hope this podcast was valuable to you, and we will catch you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.